This week on Hermitcraft.
It's a ton of redstone to make all that happen.
So when you said ceasefire, what you actually meant was fire all the things! Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is Pixel Riffs, our writer is ZloyXP, and while the ceasefire may still be in effect, the Hermits are preparing for the freaking apocalypse. If this is them during the pre-game, we can't even imagine what the actual war is going to be like.
This whole civil war, as you know, is also about bragging rights, right?
In the span of a single week, more weaponry has been added to the server than in all the previous weeks since day one, not helped by some members assuming wartime roles that are a little too real. Even the admin side fidgeting was very, very frightening. Of all things to introduce to the server, this week Xisuma had to bring in an actual weather machine. Thanks to a Thunder Shrine data pack, you can now start your very own thunderstorm in exchange for a nether star at the very top of the statue of Hermity, in case your well-deserved natural thunderstorm was slept away by an unsuspecting friend.
Of course, if they do this, they'll probably want to communicate with other players and let them know not to sleep in the bed so the thunderstorm can continue.
Whether whatever they do with the weather is cheaty or not for your tastes, you can express that in the poll icard in the upper right corner. And with all that out of the way, let's take a closer look at all the events and war crimes that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week.
Fully equipped and ready for battle!
Starting with Team Star and the turtle they call a base. In reality, it is now much more of a basement, dug out by false symmetry and Xisuma void all the way to the bedrock. And while the unbreakable stuff was soon covered with glass to increase traversability, the goal of the rest of the room is exactly the opposite, to confuse and bamboozle anyone sturdy enough to make their way in. False and Xisuma soon tie together this large area of darkness with a myriad of stairways, most of them leading to nowhere in particular and only being there to entangle potential enemies, and mayhaps give a rogue David Bowie somewhere to practice his contact juggling.
People aren't going to know what's a room, what's not a room, and all of that good stuff.
At the end of one of those stairways, False builds the team storage room, so good luck finding that. As to how they expect the enemy to even get in is a bigger question, and the answer is that they don't, not if a layer of obsidian in the ceiling can help it. So when it comes to this bunker, bomb away. Just be careful to bomb around Wells Knight's suburban house. Quite a lot of effort went into it. This also means the entire team is really just crashing in Wells Knight's cellar.
What are we calling this? I don't know, man. House?
On the offensive, Doc M has contributed to the whole turtle aesthetic by farming actual turtles nearby, but rather than outfit the entire team with turtle helmets, he's brewing them into potions so he can launch a variety of toughened creatures at the G-Team base. The launch is delayed slightly by that time he lost 40 stacks of TNT with a single mistake. But with their remaining supplies, he still has a chance to calibrate the machine, and false symmetry briefly goes into orbit riding inside a cow's brain.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to die.
Yeah.
He died.
To recover the lost explosives, Doc cuts a shady deal with Cubfan and borrows some gunpowder from Mumbo Jumbo. Now all he has to do is wait for a thunderstorm and the white flag to burn down, and he can start chucking charged creepers and witches absurd distances in the name of Team Star. That's not his only weapon this week though. He sets up a machine that fires a cluster of flaming arrows at anyone who dares to attack on foot, although he makes the strange decision of setting up this fiery obstacle right in front of a moat full of water.
For those that are like, false, the moat's silly, blah 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 blah. We're playing this as like a bit of a game, like that. We're not just gonna go, oh hi, I could just fly into your base, dig through the wall and just put a bunch of TNT down and blow it all up. Like, that's not how we're playing it, guys.
Fiery projectiles seem to be Team Star's whole thing, actually, because Impulse SV's pet project this week is a huge tower from which he can redirect ghast fireballs like some kind of screamy railgun. It takes a while to get the ghasts into place, but once everything's set up, he can play all the ghast tennis he wants with his new doubles partner.
How cool is that? These guys are gonna be freaking out when they have these gas balls coming at them as they cross the battlefield.
With that in place, he heads down to the increasingly confusing basement and works on their defenses, adding a set of armor equippers for the Star Children to suit up. Now, the last time we checked, white concrete is incredibly weak to ghast fireballs, so it's no wonder that the G-Team has gone into full counterattack mode. For one, Tango installs a full-on anti-impulse defense system, aiming fire charges directly at the spot his colleague would stand to redirect the ghastly fireballs. And for two, Zombie Cleo drops off a squadron of cats on every horizontal roof their base has got to scare away potential creeper paratroopers, and presumably get familiar with the witch ones. Now, we don't actually see that just yet because her video on it was released after our cutoff day, but Grian showcased it, so we felt we had to include it. What we did fit into our week for this recap is Cleo's take on a meeting room, where the walls are much less infinite but the chairs are ever more comfy. So comfy you can even actually sit in them, although with 3 times more right-clicking than one might be used to. These are actually upside-down saddled pigs hidden under a birch trapdoor, so that takes care of all the crumbs you get stuck between the cushions.
Top chair, I know, right?
2 more attack features Tango has installed are a fire charge suppressing fire that burninates the countryside, and strategically placed dispensers for impromptu games of the floor is lava.
Long-range lava deployment across an entire field. It's a ton of redstone to make all that happen.
Joe Hills doesn't need dispensers for that. His entire week seems to be a game of the floor is lava.
That's bad.
Widening the ravine under the G-Team's base leads to a few close calls and 1 actual death by flames, but at least Grian approves.
People are like, Joe, don't do that. Oh my goodness. Okay, that was really bad, guys.
After all that dangerous digging, Joe doubles down and heads to the Nether, where he gets set on fire yet again, but also manages to make a good amount of progress clearing Netherrack for the community Nether Hub build. He's also the first person to try the doorbell Iskall installed in the G-Team's base, and since writing stuff on bits of paper is kind of Joe Hills' specialty, he adds a few messages to the existing repertoire. The prototype phase for the door involved a lot more Grian, although he still sounded like a witch, so there's that.
You again? I thought I told you to go away.
Between Grian and Iskall, the G-Team installation gets upgraded from a water filter into a full-on coffee machine, and they make some serious progress on digging out their own basement, later refurbished into a sophisticated, sterile environment with an aquarium in the middle. Made possible in part thanks to iJevin gathering an absolute buttload of white concrete for the team. In fact, he installs a potion dispenser at it right after the thing is built. And once they were all sick of digging, they basically made sure nobody would ever dig again by capturing an Elder Guardian, who they nicknamed Gimme, and shuttling him back to their base in a minecart. Having a portable mining fatigue machine hanging around your base might not be the best idea, but the plan seems to be to move Gimme wherever he needs to be to frustrate Team Star the most.
This is our ace in our sleeve. Is that how you say it? Seriously? I don't think in a million years that anyone in the comment can guess what this weapon is.
Stress Monster, in the meantime, has been working on blending the G-Team base with its environment, adding classy circular platforms, custom trees, and other modern touches.
I know gardening is your thing.
You know gardening is my thing, and you've just done that on it?
That's pretty cool, no?
Which might seem a little peaceful, but don't let that fool you, as she also heads down to the basement to put together G-Team's armory as well. There are booths that automatically tool you up, and they even have their own theme song.
Yes!
Now, for those peripheral factions we mentioned in the intro, Mumbo Jumbo is roped into the festivities, although perhaps not in the way one might expect. After a long time explaining their idea, Iskall and Grian convince him to join in as an informant for their side.
I don't know if you've noticed, Mumbo, but there's a war going on.
Now, obviously, Mumbo's life on the server is too well documented, by himself, for Team Star to stay oblivious to the deal. So, he just hangs out around No Man's Land gathering what intelligence the server has left.
Those sunshades, he can't see through them, they're completely black.
Or his plan is... Oh, he moved. Run!
Oh, he's seen us! Quick! Run away!
Alas, the report he provides can be substituted by just watching Hermitcraft Recap episode 24, or, looking out of the window. But with Team Star recruiting him to be a mole for their side too, and make a commercial for the team, Mumbo's role is getting more and more complicated, and also very confusing. A much bigger impact is made by Cubfan as the first ever war profiteer of the server. With Tango Tech's creeper farm currently rerouted into a skull factory, it's Cub who both teams have turned towards when it comes to any and all explosives, which does score him 2 pretty big deals for both sides of the conflict, and warrants opening a whole shop right there in the middle of No Man's Land. Lined with obsidian, it offers the same services as Concorp's top gunpowder, but at a more convenient place and prices, plus firework rockets. The problem is, you A, need to get to it under potential fire of the opposition, and B, need to get through a random worthiness check by an evoker and his Vexes.
And yeah, they do hit pretty hard. They do hit very hard. Oh god, no, please Vex, please, have mercy. Jeez.
We also know he put explosive trees at the entrance of both bases, but the reasons behind that we'll only find out by next time.
You can't trick me, although I am actually going to Oh! Please tell me I didn't lose my stuff.
Just outside the war zone, a 100% more pacifist Python gets to work building his skyscraper, oblivious to the fact that Impulse just kind of pointed a ghast cannon at it. He's seen his share of ghasts though, judging by the sheer amount of quartz that's gone into just one of these towers. You may remember that in last week's recap tag, we asked you to warn Python about the cows landing on his roof, and well, it turns out he liked the idea so much, he actually went and did it. Building the world's tallest beach resort up there on the roof, complete with coral and umbrellas, he decides he wants some company to watch the aggressive TNTing of the nearby landscape, and actually transports 2 cows up there to hang out with him. The stakes have never been higher.
2, 1. Are you kidding?
For an even more dangerous living area, look no further than Zedaf's new mini-base at the bottom of a lava lake by the Nether Hub. It, no joke, doesn't even have a proper ceiling. Every block of it was swapped for a fence post or an iron bar, so Zed can easily snatch a lava bucket from outside without actually having to go outside. His plan is to later set up a bulk smelter in there, for you see the Nether is not just free real estate, it is also free nightmare fuel.
No one's even going to know it's here. They could just go and easily add like a moustache or something to that ghast. That's probably already happened. I don't know, but if it's all hidden, no one's even going to know it's there.
Not that the real world doesn't have enough space to build at. Ijevin's place for one is about to become vacant now that he decided to blow up his own castle. Yep, he's going full Season 4 on us, except maybe with more chained explosions. We couldn't believe it back then and we can't believe it now, but hey, it's his castle and it's his call as to what to do with it.
That was fun. Not very good though, I thought I would be better.
Well, there's a place for castles. And this week it's getting a train station. Wells Knight has finished building the railway network station at the medieval district. Fittingly, it looks much like an old-timey tavern, with all the choo-choo wizardry carefully tucked away.
And yes, I know. Medieval and railway are 2 things that generally don't go very well together, but this is Hermitcraft and it's Minecraft, so they're going to go together in this instance.
Like Ijevin, Iskal tears down even more of his ice base, only to fill it with a giant worm. We have no idea why, and it seems like he doesn't either, except it's a Diablo reference, and those are pretty cool, I guess. There's also some diorite to dispose of thanks to Mumbo, and a hunt for quartz to decorate his villager trading hall, which gets populated thanks to the god machine next door. Iskal has a go at setting up villager harvested crop farms, but they're close enough to the breeder that they keep trying to farm the wall instead.
This is not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Oh, I'm so sad right now.
In a very different build style, Xisuma reinforces the sand walls of his Guardian farm base with spawn-proof prismarine structures, spikes of the regular stuff at the corners, and stars of the dark variant at the sides. It's his personal style of just unconventional enough to be interesting as to where this is even going, and it was originally planned to be part of a grand epic episode, but now splits into errands just to make January less of a grind for him.
And I thought I'd be waiting until 1.14 so I could make dark prismarine slabs. But of course they're already here in 1.13, so I could have built this all along.
TFC has once again been farming the walls of his branch mine, and he stops by the Minetasm shop to restock this week, claiming a few loose diamonds from the chests and putting some stone brick on sale. He also gets to cast an appraising eye over the G-Team headquarters and investigate some new shops on his way to checking the mail, some of which is more valuable than others.
And 3 blocks of diamond. Now that's my kind of mail.
And finally there's Mumbo Jumbo, who's had a few teething problems with his villager breeder, even if you don't count Grian sticking a fork in him.
I'm so confused. Wait, he was trying to help?
Eventually it all gets sorted out, and he moves on to an even more volatile project, a TNT-powered tree farm, recently showcased by unofficial Hermitcraft sponsor Ilmango. It goes about as well as you'd expect.
Hang on, if I go like this... What?
The real trick is going to be building a safe shell around the whole thing, which is perhaps why he's taken the wise option of accepting viewer submissions for this one. Still, after blowing up the farm at least twice, and himself at least once, he's ready to farm explosive amounts of birch.
Again? Oh my word.
Speaking of explosives, it's time for Recap Tag, and we think Impulse SV deserves to have his comments section obliterated this week, so let's all go over to the video we've linked in the description and the iCards, and tell him to aim for the cows on Python's roof. And that's just about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP and my name is Pixorifs. My Minecraft Survival Guide series just passed 50 episodes, all of which you can check out in the playlist we've linked in this week's End Screen Theatre. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.